Halo semuanya. Kelas S-C angkat tangan. Yang dari kelas S-C. No one. Luar biasa ya. Halo semuanya. Kelas S-C angkat tangan. Yang dari kelas S-C. No one. Luar biasa ya. Halo semuanya. Kelas S-C angkat tangan. Yang dari kelas S-C. No one. Luar biasa ya. Halo semuanya. Kelas S-C angkat tangan. Yang dari kelas S-C. No one. Luar biasa. 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 Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, test. S-C. No one. Luar biasa. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. YouTube-nya udah live stream ya? Oke. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Langsung mulai. So, good morning. Before we start, I want to remind everyone that we will have a quiz at the end of the presentation, right? So what will happen is that we'll give you a piece of paper which you can write your notes, your notes during the presentation. And then at the end of the presentation and Q&A, we'll pose you 1 or 2 questions, Haven't decided yet because have not heard the presentation yet. And just reserve 1 halaman di dalam kertas tersebut untuk menjawab. 1 halaman. Itu nggak panjang kok. You can do it in 15 to 20 minutes If if you listen. Basically so that you can pay attention and be reminded of the important points. Okay? So we're waiting for the paper. It will be distributed, so please take one. That can be your notes and also it can be your cheat sheet, during the quiz. And nothing else, no opening of laptops, no opening of cell phone, or your textbooks, no, just that sheet. So the question will be based on the lecture today. All right? Okay, thank you. All right. Because it's already past our schedule, let's start the event. But first, we please rise for the singing of Indonesia Raya. Everybody, please rise. Thank you. You may sit.
Universitas
All right, you may sit. Thank you, everyone. So welcome, everyone. And also welcome Professor Budy Resosudarmo from coming down from Canberra. He's been here for a few weeks in Indonesia. So kemarin, from Canberra. Oh, from Manila, yeah. So he was here a couple of weeks ago, but he's back. So this morning we have 3 environmental and natural resource economics class undergraduate program. Yeah, most of the students are the 3rd semester. So they have taken introductory microeconomics, yeah, and right now taking microeconomics. We also have 1 international class undergraduate, which features also international exchange students. Yeah. So today's topic will be on sustainable development, focusing on the economics of climate change. As mentioned, all the SDAL classes will have a quiz, yeah, short quiz at the end of the Q&A. So Professor Budy will give a presentation of about 1 hour. Including Q&A until 1 p.m. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's including Q&A, but I think it's okay if you want to extend, and then we'll have the Q&A. Is it okay if students want to ask in the middle, or do you prefer at the end? Okay, so if you have any questions during the presentation, you can also raise your hand. Yeah, and we'll give you a mic and you can ask directly. Okay? Yeah, okay, so Professor Budy, silakan.
Yeah, thank you, Lydia. And also I would like to thank FEBUI for the invitation and allowing me to talk in this faculty.
Excuse me, can you put
okay, yeah.
We also have live stream.
Oh, okay.
For the rest of the FEB who cannot attend today or are somewhere else.
Thank you. So yes, thank you very much for FEB, and thank you very much for Lydia and the other lecture on this subject. So yes, Lydia is right. I'm visiting the Faculty of Economics and will give 5 lecture. All is related to the sustainable development and the approach on the economic approach on climate change. So to understand the whole thing that I would like to say, you probably need to attend all the 5. But if you only attend 1, it's okay as well, because in this first lecture, I will give some principle on how we actually, in my opinion, we look at the issue of climate change from economic perspective. Now, I have to mention that in science, different opinion is okay. So if what I'm going to say is a bit different than what you guys have in class, in SDAL class and environmental economic class, is okay. And you have a freedom to believe any of those approach, yeah? So that is science. Science is not dogmatic, but it's an opinion and an argument that you could choose, yeah? Which one of it. So what I'm going to present is a basic thing that the way that we have to look at climate change using a framework of environmental economics, yeah? And I also gave you some history about what happened in Indonesia, and so why I think this is needed. So next, okay, next. All right, the typical environmental economic course, especially those based on cases from advanced countries, has a tendency. So if you took environmental economics in any Western university, the main core of thinking that they're going to insist to you is to identify externality problem. So the main thing is this externality problem. You probably already get already know about externality problem from Bulidia or the PESA class. And then okay, we have this problem, externality, that creating inefficiency or loss of welfare. And then they insist, okay, these are the policy to basically optimizing the economy. So that is a very difficult. So the issue that because those environmental economics was developed when they were mostly basic issue on industrialization and so on. So the cost theorem are the basic to solve those issues. And then now many textbooks start at the end talk about sustainability, but just an add-up. Now, in developing country and emerging country, I would like to argue in this presentation that yes, externality is still an issue, but the approach that we look at environmental issue within the environmental economic should be centered on sustainable development. Okay, so that is, and I will show you, and going to this course, I will show you that it could be a different way to look at environmental issue within economics. Next. So a typical class, beginning class of environmental economics. They thought that this is a demand, there is a private marginal cost, and the private marginal cost is not taking account the cost of the society because their activity is actually probably destroying the environment. So the true marginal cost for the society is higher. So we have this inefficiency because if the private sector do not look at the social cost, then the allocation is the intersection between the individual or private marginal cost and the demand, which is basically over exploit the resources. So then people said that, well, we need to look at the marginal cost for the society, including all these externality problem. So then you correct me those things. All right. So that is a typical. Next. But also to come up with my argument, I use a different way to explain this externality problem. If you look at this graph, imagine there is a space of coastal area in which there are only two activities in the coastal area. One is a fish production, you know, somebody that fishing and trying to get the fish and sell to the market. And the other one is somebody to preserve the environment and get income from ecotourism. Yeah. Now, if, for example, the guy that doing the fishing doesn't really care with the other guy, if we have this net marginal benefit, which is already the benefit minus the cost, the allocation of coastal area that he will use is until the net marginal benefit equal to 0. Because if they do it one more unit, then the net marginal benefit negative. Yeah, that is a typical economic argument. Yeah. So then the area that they will use is until this point. Yeah, you can see that is. Now, if the next, the ecotourism is coming in after whatever left over by this fishery production, then next. So then the ecotourism can only operate at whatever left over. And if this is their net marginal benefit, so you see that this area is a loss of society. So that is the externality problem. So that is the other way to look at the externality. So these two graphs is not the only two graphs that you could use to show externality problem. Now, if, for example, we could correct externality problem, next, then the allocation of resources will be that. And we know that this is optimal welfare that you could achieve because you could achieve the welfare of all below this graph, which is bigger than the previous graph. Yeah. So, okay. This is all right. Uh, okay. So I just want to use the pointer. So then you understand that that is the externality. So there is a typical Western environmental economics courses about. But what happened with equity? Very few of them talk about equity. You know? And also, which is not explicitly discussed, it probably could happen. Will these resources sustain? Uh, so, so that is uh, my dislike, if you could say, about the standard environmental economics that is mostly teach in Western country. So I would like to argue that the way that we look at environmental economics should start as follow. But again, nothing wrong with solving externality, nothing wrong. So whatever you receive in courses is nothing wrong. Yeah. But again, every academic has their own opinion on a certain issue, and it is okay in science. Since the beginning, I would like to say that no textbook is perfect, no paper is perfect, and it's okay to be different in science. Innovation comes from that, you know, because we disagree with other, then that where innovation comes. So that I will mention you. So don't think that oh somebody is wrong. No, don't think like that. All right. So how people in emerging country should look at environmental issue and particularly on later on climate change. Yeah. So this is the basic. So number one. Next. Well, emerging country, developing country still need growth. So we still approaching environmental issue by having in mind that we need growth. Yeah. And a standard is referred to economic capacity to produce goods and services over time, commonly measured by GDP or GNI. And this idea of that developing means growth of GDP has been imposed for a long time. And even the theory has been formalized by Solo and Swan using a production model, and Solo win an Oscar, win a Nobel Prize in 1987 for their contribution on growth. So for developing countries, it is clearly since the beginning, since the start of how we look at environmental issue is that externality is important, but it's not the only one. We still put emphasis on growth. Yeah. Now, and if you look at Solo model, within K, the capital that includes environment. So even without any externality, environment matter in our growth. Yeah? So that's why there's a literature saying that growth model with natural capital. So basically, if the capital, the one that is accumulate is only human-made capital, but the natural capital do not accumulate, then your growth will be slowing down. And that is not what we want. Next, the second issue we mentioned is that emerging country and developing country still care about the issue of poverty and equality. We are not going to solve the environmental issue without looking at the issue of poverty and inequality. Yeah? And this is have been a global move after World War II. So before that, when we talk about development or any other program, we talk only about growth. But now, since the World War II, people do care about poverty and inequality. And Amartya Sen, who basically the one that pushed the importance of individual well-being, received a Nobel Prize in 1998. Yeah, and so by 1970s, probably among developing countries, individual well-being, poverty, and equality is probably more important than just growth. Yeah. So that is the second approach. So the utilization of environment resources must also address issue of poverty and equality. That is the second thing, that why externality is not enough. It is important, but it's not enough for the development. All right. Third. All right. Third aspect next. Okay. Now it's about sustainable development. So this is the component of environment that become matters for developing countries. It's actually when this sustainable development issue coming up. Yeah, I tell you a history first. Yeah, a history why this environmental issue become in net or on Chinese actually use this book as a background. Yeah. It is about this woman thing, that woman could not actually save the environment, so she said that we need to invite UFO. So you should look at the movie as well. So what is it the book about, and why the title? Yeah, just in case you haven't heard about this story. Well, in the four season countries, spring is the time when you see flower coming up. So colorful, if you go outside, so colorful. And you heard a lot of bird singing. Yeah, all these birds are flying around and singing. They could do that because of the flower. Yeah? And they help also flowers to actually grow up. Now, at that time, at that period, there is one chemical substance that we use for civil human activities to make convenient, which is basically DDT to clear flies. So DDT, now it's not used anymore. Bygone do not use DDT, but when I was small, Bygone consists of DDT. So that is the chemical. And people spray it everywhere. So when I was small, every 5 o'clock, we sprayed in our house. And in the US and Europe, they spray a city with an airplane. Boom, they spray. And Rachel said that, look, those DDT is not only kill the insect that we don't want, it also kill the insect that actually with plant. This insect, the one that we don't want, and the one that actually need it, then one day we will see a spring without flowers and without bird singing. So that is why she called the book The Silent Spring. So that is encouraging, that is touching. And a lot of people actually start thinking, yeah, this environmental problem is not that serious. It is a serious. We don't want that to happen. And the group that start pushing the environmental issue into a global debate is the NGO. This is WWF, one of the oldest, and several others around the world. And so for the first time in 1970, UN conducted its biggest conference on human and environment. Yeah? And for the first time, sustainable development was mentioned. What we want is something that develop sustainably. Yeah? Although there are a lot of suspicion, the global work to understand what is sustainable development. Yeah, and in 1987, 15 years after the UN Congress on Human Environment, then we have this definition. Yeah, basically, development that maintain environment is you could actually use the, the earth as what you want, as long as you could guarantee the next generation can also enjoy the world, at least as you enjoy the world when they when the time comes. Yeah? So development, I insist intergeneration equity, so that come into play. The more a little bit more about sustainable development and and why with that framework we need to look at environmental economics. Next. So next, so sustainability is basically intergeneration equity, yeah? And mostly it's about reducing the use of the earth, reducing pollution and so on. But sustainability, in the essence, your relationship with the next generation is transferring the capital. And there are 5 capital that we need to transfer to next generation so they can enjoy their life at least as how we enjoy our life today. This 5 capital is natural capital, the earth, human-made capital, city, you also have mobile phone and so on. Yeah. Human capital, the brain, knowledge you need to transfer. With knowledge, you actually enjoy the work. Social capital, nation, country, RT, RW, yeah, the system, and finally, financial capital. So there are 5 capital that we need to transfer, but natural capital is number 1. Yeah? So, okay, yeah, how we actually do that? That's the first question. Before we actually link to the environmental or climate change issue, how we actually do that? Well, the ideal way is that you know what future generation need. Okay, what you guys need actually to be able to enjoy living as we enjoy it. Once you know, you could do backward. Okay, so this one I need to prepare, this one I don't know, need to prepare, this one I you do backward. But the problem is that that's nice in theory, but the problem is that how we know what the future generation need. There's no way we know. Yeah. All right, so then how are we going to solve it? Just doing a static, for today in what we do right now. What is the principle that we need to apply so we could actually kind of guarantee that future generation is actually could enjoy the world. Next. So this is the work by people in the World Bank and promoted a lot by Pa Emil Salvin. is this triple bottom line approach. Well, the argument is that when we do anything, yeah, this is developing industry and so on. You need to look at three outcomes at the same time. Yes, the first bottom line is the economy, the growth. The second bottom line is the people, equity, poverty. And the third bottom line is the earth, the environment. So look, we don't talk about externality. We don't talk about externality in this. Yes, externality happening. But the outcome of this triple bottom line does matter for us in developing countries, in which we still need growth, in which we care about poverty, and as well as we care about protecting our environment. Pak Emil Emil Salim ya, lead a big project in the bank called analyzing extractive industry. And the group come up with another important principle that need to apply to be able to guarantee that we sustainable development in maintaining our environment. Next. Next first. Next. Yeah. He said that most programs that could produce sustainable development, in the input, there should be triple partnership. The program is a partnership between government, private sector, and civil society. So, all right, so stop until here. Remember that environmental economics, the main one is to basically maintain environment by acknowledging there's an issue on externality and solving the problem. But from the sustainable development approach, what we want is that we see the possible environmental issue because of economic activity, but we would like to change the economic activity in such not only it solves the problem of externality, but producing three bottom line: the economy, the equity, and the environment. Yeah? So that philosophy is a bit different. Well, for me, it's very much different, but just want to be polite, it's a bit different than just looking at externality. Yeah? Now, back a little bit. So one issue that we need to remember that what we care is originally is equity, and economics could not actually solve this. No, without the most that we could do is equality. Equality and equity are two different things. Yeah? Equality is about equal access, equal benefit, but equity is about fairness. So there is a certain homework that us in economics not yet 100% solve it. And although Amartya Sen has to solve this equity with an economic concept. Next again. Now, so that spirit of maintaining environment for sustainable development is actually growing up in the world. In 1982, Rio de Janeiro produced Agenda 21. Everybody did not really do anything, follow the agenda. And so the 2002, there is a Johannesburg UN Summit on Sustainable Development. 2010, again, Rio de Janeiro. Just in 2015, then the global world agreed that we have to have a sustainable development goal. Sustainable development had 17 goals, but if you look carefully, it actually consists of that three bottom line plus partnership. Yeah, number one, no poverty. Yeah. Number two, no hunger. Number three, equal. What is it? This is I don't remember. Um, uh, Number four, quality of education and so on. It's all, if you summarize, it's all about triple bottom line. And finally, partnership for this goal. Yeah. So starting right now, when you are to solve environmental issue, uh, please remember that the way that we would like to solve is not only the problem of externality, is the problem of achieving sustainable development. Yeah? And Indonesia contribute a lot through Pak Emil Salim. Yeah? Pak Emil Salim is one of the main figure globally on sustainable development. And so also because of that, why we are not developing course in environmental and economics based on that principle. Okay. Any question? You can disagree with me though. It's okay. Yeah? No question? All right. So now I shift because this is a lot of undergraduate would like to give his history. How Indonesia doing? If we believe that the goal of preserving the environment is actually by achieving sustainable development goal. Yeah. So this triple bottom line, how Indonesia doing? Because you could see that a lot of our government talk about growth, yeah, but not really sustainable development. Yeah. So let's go to the history about Indonesia. Next. Well, before that, how this link with climate is that one of the biggest threat of the sustainable development for any country right now is climate change. Yeah, so why climate change is important? Because it has made the global temperature increase and keep increasing. If it is already above 2% from the average temperature before the pre-industrial, we will have a massive effect. And so we commit that we would like to hold the temperature only 1.5 degree higher than the average temperature before pre-industrialization. For that, we form a special committee and meet every year in COP, which is, I think is currently happening. Yeah. So climate change is the biggest threat among a lot of other environmental problems because this is globally. Basically, there's a possibility that the global world will end if it keeps increasing, but we don't know how long. Now, in my talk next week on Wednesday, I will discuss the prospect of Indonesia navigating those increase. So please come again to know my opinion about whether Indonesia is able to actually navigate its climate change problem. All right, next. So now, as I mentioned, let's go to history and see what is the performance of Indonesia in achieving sustainable development. Yeah. So you probably don't realize in 1967, when Suharto take over the country, Indonesia GDP is $50 per capita per year. We were poor. We are even poorer than India, poorer than China, poorer than Philippines. Malaysia is so high. Thailand. In this country in Southeast Asia, we are among the poorest. In 1967, $50. Yeah. Maybe your grandfather or grandparents feel it. hunger everywhere in Java. Yeah. And the Australian even make a movie about the situation in Indonesia in 1967, how chaos it was. The movie was living dangerously by, and the star is Mel Gibson. So the famous Mel Gibson, when he was young, he was playing the movie. It shows how Jakarta is so messy, yeah? And there is this journalist that trying to record the situation. 3 or 4, yeah? But Suharto formed a team, and this team is, you should proud, because they are member of this faculty, yeah, which is led by Pak Wijoyo, and it was Pak Sadli, Pak Emil, Pak Subroto, and Pak Aliwardana, which is called later by Western journalists the mafia from Berkeley, because they all at one point study in Berkeley. So what they did is they did 3 major policy. Number 1 is they suggest there is a law on foreign direct investment. Yeah? Make it easier for foreign direct investment to come in. Number 2 is that all forests are government. That ignoring that actually there are people living in the forest, but all forests is owned by the government. So this is state capture. Suddenly, more than 80% land in Indonesia in one day after this law come up, owned by the government. And it wasn't before. And the third law, which is important, is all land in Indonesia can be mined. Yeah? So you could do mining in any land in Indonesia, any territory, not only land, any territory in Indonesia. Those 3 laws is the basic policy of this group. Oh, by the way, this is again my opinion, so you could actually disagree. Yeah. Next, yeah. So, is it effective? Look at this. Suddenly, in 1975, more than 60% of government revenue come from oil and gas. So, because of those laws, foreigners come and mine, and they can choose any area in Indonesia. In 1980s, almost like 70% of government revenue owned by government revenue come from oil and gas. Now, one thing that is actually effective, so the way that they do is that let the resources extracted, get the money, and having the money, do the infrastructure for development. And that is through developing agriculture, irrigation and extension system, roads, water, and air transportation, as well as SD interest. Yeah. So SD interest has been shown by Astro Duplo very positive. So they get the money and they do development. Now, next. And if you look at the forest, after that law is the beginning of big forest extraction. The log extraction increased just after 1967. Mining and forest is both extracted, government get revenue, and build all this infrastructure for agriculture, for education, and road for trade. Next. Our performance in 1960 until, in this graph is until 1998, the end of Suharto, is #1 in the world. Look at the black graph. Thailand, China is all, we outperformed them in 1917 and 1970 and 1980s. Indonesia was an example of success development program. You should proud. At one point, we are not that mess. We are actually performing very well in 1970 and in 1980, even better than China. Yeah. So that strategy is effective. Yeah. Next. And next, Pak. And it's happened everywhere. If we ask about equity, this development happened everywhere. Even Papua increased from 0.23 million rupiah per capita in 1971 into 1 million. 5-time increase during that period. Not only Java. So during that period, there is no region in Indonesia stagnant. Although the starting point could be different. Next. Poverty reduced from 50 to about, what is it? 20%. Reduced a lot, poverty. So Indonesia development has been successful during that period in 2 items, if we're thinking about development, sustainable development, in terms of growth and in terms of equity. Yeah. Next. Industrial structure change more to manufacturing sector. That's also good. Next. But the issue is our environment. Forest indicators show that between 1990s to 2000, the rate of deforestation in Indonesia is the highest among countries with tropical forests. Forest decline per island, you could see that Sumatra declined a lot. Half of Sumatra forest gone during this period. Kalimantan, 1/3 of that forest, their forest gone during that period. So, in terms of sustainable development, this policy work for growth and equity maybe, but not on environment. So we are not achieving sustainable development. So there's a lot of work need to be done to achieve that. Next. And now when we look at decentralization era, 2001 until relatively recent, we do a big bang decentralization. You see that in that period, we are not #1 anymore. China has been growing much faster than us. Yeah, so our decentralization strategy, that's why there's a lot of debate whether we actually should keep doing it or not right now. It's actually that one, but we are not that bad. Yeah, we are just after China, basically. So that's not that bad. Yeah. Next, but we still allowing exploitation, but the biggest rate of exploitation after decentralization center on coal. Yeah. Our coal actually exported increased very high. We are the top 5 biggest exporter of coal in the world, but even compared to Australia and India, in which their reserve is probably about 50 times higher than us. So how fast we are comparing to them. Next. And oil plantation keep growing, yeah, during this period. Next. But also decentralization got start showing that problem. The industrialization start to decline. Yeah. So next, if you look at development across nation, there are areas in which they not really grow as fast as other. And that area is Maluku and Papua. So Papua GDP per capita in real has actually declined. Yeah. Maluku stagnant, although others are actually developing quite okay. So the shift from the Berkeley Mafia strategy into a decentralization still give us a not bad economic development, but start giving us an issue of inequality. Next. You could see that by now, because of those two big policies, Indonesia has been not too bad comparing to, we are now GDP per capita higher than India, still higher than Vietnam, and still higher than Philippines. And you are living in Jakarta, Jakarta is growing amazingly. If we just live in Sudirman, Tamrin, we live in an OECD country. If we just live in that area. Yeah, so those strategy is still okay for development, but I have mentioned that there are still shaky on equity, inequality, and next, and the environmental as well. Look at the forest, keep declining. So you could not solve the problem of Indonesia environment just those ideas. And second is that we want to have equality. We cannot be Jakarta the only becoming on OECD, but Papua not. You cannot. You know, politically won't stable. So, and finally is that you do need to maintain the environment. So starting right now, when you go out trying to solve environment, think about that. What we want is sustainable development, not only solving externality issue. Okay? That is the principle. Yeah. And if you talk about development program, also think about sustainable development. When we do development, what we want is not only 8% growth, we want to have sustainable development, equity, and environment. Yeah. So after this course, that should be in your mind. Yeah? And that is what Indonesia needs. All right. Next. Now, that is the main point. Now I'm trying to shift to the most important threat, which is climate change or global warming. Along the way, composition of our energy, yeah, forestry has been seeing an issue because there is a decline, but this is in the modern sector as well. The most increase on energy use, source of energy that we use is coal. I think that is the bottom line. Yeah, that the coal one increased significantly. Yeah. So crude oil have been the main energy before, but start to decline. And throughout times, it's actually coal increasing and the contribution of coal increased 6 times between 2018 to 2000. Yeah, while contribution of renewable energy is still tiny, trivial. Yeah. Next. And so the implication of those deforestation that we see and use of energy Indonesia is change depends is actually so on this thing about culture. Now I've been traveling, attending conference everywhere. When a lecturer talk about macroeconomics and come talk about Southeast Asia, they mention Singapore. Yeah. And maybe Malaysia, but no mention on Indonesia. Even when they talk about poverty, they mention Philippines, poverty in Philippines, poverty in Thailand, but almost never mention Indonesia. Indonesia is below the radar on the world. Many issues. For one, when anybody talk about climate, they will have to mention Indonesia because we are one of the biggest source and one of the cause the problem of this issue. And everybody knows that if Indonesia do not do their job, globally we won't achieve this maintaining emission in such that the temperature could be lower than 1.5. So a lot of eyes look at Indonesia because of the climate change. It is a bit sad, and it is also why we need to correct it. When we talk about anything, development and so on, we need to talk about triple bottom line. Yeah. Do not just talk about growth. What is it to get 9% growth, but you destroy the environment? It's not sustained. Yeah. Next. And I haven't mentioned about fishery, but fishery is also a big mess there. Many areas in Indonesia is over-extracted. In the discussion of environment, fishery is a bit minor. And so in one of my sessions, I will specialize talking about fishery. Yeah. So, but fishery is also like with this but talk about economy, but mangrove protection, blue carbon, it's come from mangrove, but a lot of people do not understand yet, and society has not yet familiar with those topics, the blue carbon. All right, next. So as we ignore the environmental issue so far, question, yeah, has Indonesia actually ignored those? Well, probably not. Yeah. In 1972, Indonesia is one of the first developing countries to establish a kind of minister for environment, although it became fully a minister in 1978. Emil Salim was assigned to start this ministerial unit, yeah, on environment, and he told me that the one that asked him is really Suharto. Suharto invited him to do fishing in the Jakarta Bay, and during in the fishing boat, Suharto said that, look, Emil, you look to Jakarta, the air is not clear, and a lot of waste along the Jakarta Bay. At one point, we will have this problem, messy environmental issue. So I assign you to start managing the environment. So Indonesia actually already know that this is coming. Yeah. And Pak Emil do a lot of work, but particularly to initiate establishment of environmental center in many universities to familiarize academic on the issue of environment. And he thought that it is important, and he mentioned to me during the cabinet, every time, Pak Emil said that every time I raise my hand and others, particularly the members of others, the Berkeley Mafia say that here goes the price up. Yeah. So when you talk about environment, then everything will yeah, not about you. So we actually move. Commit that we are going to have net zero emission in 2016. Now, so among those two, between NDC and net zero, the one that really bite, meaning that the one that really have to make you do better is the net zero emission. So pay attention on the net zero emission. NDC could be, doesn't matter. Yeah, I explain how NDC doesn't matter. So NDC is a commitment, yeah, saying that we will grow 6.2%. And if we grow 6.2%, our emission will be 100, for example. Now turn out you got COVID. So you cannot grow 6%. And turn out after COVID, you never grow 6%. And so when you calculate your emission, it's automatically lower than if you grow 6%. And that actually fulfill your NDC, because NDC is based on not on the declining, but on the level. I will producing 10, and now I'm producing 60. That is NDC. So NDC could be fulfilled by just growing slower without do anything. But you cannot do that with net zero emission. So net zero emission, you have to do something. So that we will talk about that more in one of the public lecture, whether basically Indonesia could achieve net zero emission. Next. So these are some detail. Next. one of the program during Pak Jokowi is green economy. So now a lot of people talk about green economy, but let me insist on the principle of green economy. What is it? Green economy is about investment in the economy in such as there is new activities, economic activities, that these new activities creating growth, creating employment, solving poverty, making more efficient in resource use, and protecting the environment in such that there is a possibility we achieve sustainable development. Yeah, there is a possibility. So this investment might not be enough. Yeah, this investment. So there is the principle, green economy, defined by Pierce, McCarthy, and Babier. Yeah. Yeah. UN, but a lot of people saying thing about green economy, but and that you need to watch. Next. Next. Yeah. So this green economy could create a leakage. You invest on things that it seems to be green, but it's actually creating a problem in the next sector. Yeah. Or in the next region. Yeah. For example, investment in biofuel. Wow, that's actually green economy for the urban area, but it could create deforestation in outside Java. So there is leakage. Number two, initially we put air conditioning in your bedroom, but because it's cheaper, you put in the living room, you put in the kitchen, you put all over in your house. So in total, although this is cheaper, more efficient, in total you actually increase your use of energy. Yeah. That also be that is actually rebound is quite common. Yeah. So you need to be careful. Another problem is that green economy might not be inducing growth, and green economy might be regressive because green economy, for example, if they just need a higher skill labor and not the low skill labor, it actually could create a problem. So that fourth thing that you need to watch with green economy. Next. So just a brush before I end it, a brush on what Indonesia has to do. We have several energy priority in the energy sector. Phasing out coal, very ambitious. Phasing out 20% of coal by 2030, probably not happening. And then renewable energy, 20% of renewable energy by 2030, probably not happening as well. Carbon price, there will be a trade instrument 2020. Yeah, probably it has been, but the trade is not yet happening. Carbon tax has been mentioned by law. We just also not impose it. And the ambition of EV, yes, probably could be, but whether the target is achieved is still questioning. Now, but do we have initiative? Yeah. Well, Indonesia does have initiative to push this target. We do. Yeah. At least two programs. Number one, next, ETM. Yeah, we do have program ETM, basically a blended uh, financial loan, yeah, to actually buy coal power plant and make it shut down earlier than it should be. So the principle is simple, yeah. The principle is simple. So the original person that have the power plant probably has to pay 5% interest rate. Now, the government with PTSME, the one that is signed, can have loan from private, which is 5, and also can have loan from public, which is like the World Bank and so on, 2%. So if you blend it, then your interest rate is 3%, lower than 5%. So what the intention is that this guy that has only an interest rate of 3% will buy the power plant, pay the guy, the owner in cash, and so because it's only pay 3%, but still get a profit that is actually allowing 5%, you could actually shortening the life of the coal power plant. So the principle is simple. Now, the reality, what is the reality? The reality is that the owner of the power plant has a contract with PLN that it doesn't matter how much PLN use, PLN will have to pay a full and in 1 year you that's the stagnation of this program. Because the owner has already guaranteed a profit. This is guaranteed, no without risk. Guarantee a profit for 40 years. And if somebody would like to buy, okay, you can buy, but give me those profit. And it's becoming so expensive. The other problem again is, so then we could buy a government power plant. Oh, because government power plant doesn't have those contracts. But when you look at government power plant, the problem is that when they build all this power plant already with markup, and for the same size of power plant, it is more expensive than the private one. We haven't seen the 20 billion. So Indonesia always has this intention. We're not ignoring. We're not ignoring that we actually creating an environmental problem, but just the ability to solve it, the ability to implement it is not there. And if you going out, that is your challenge. You do need to resolve it. Not only intention, but really implementation. And yeah, there are several others in forestry as well. We got a good intention, moratorium, yeah, that no more new forests could be cut. And that is good. It has been permanent. Although now because of the 8% target, that is a bit shaky. Yeah. And also because of this free nutritious meal, it is a bit shaky. As I related that Norway is actually signing again to help us. So the intention and the support is there. But still remain, the question is that have all this program actually producing a triple bottom line? There always be the program, because by now, hopefully, you and me agree that our goal in maintaining our environment and our goal in managing our resources is to achieve triple bottom line. Okay, but Lydia asked me to provide time for Q&A, if any, so I will go to the next, conclude this presentation. So this is kind of basic. You will go to a more detail in my next lecture on what is the economic tool that could produce sustainable development, could analyze whether a program is producing a sustainable development or not. We're talking about a method that is universal method or general equilibrium method. And finally, I will talk about managing our marine resources at the end of my visit. But for now, hopefully you guys agree that what we want is sustainable development, and so far Indonesia has not on that path. And so looking at a new paradigm on development is needed to ensure that we actually move to sustainable development. Green economy maybe, energy transition maybe, but we need to keep questioning all this program, whether the successful of this program actually giving us the capital needed for growth, whether it's sustaining the resources that we need, improving our human capital. And so the overall triple bottom line will be achieved. And finally, I go back to my initial argument. Environmental economics for developing country and emerging country, but it is not all. You need to have a bigger picture on trying to understand and achieving sustainable development. So I ended that argument. You are welcome to disagree, ask question. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Budy. So we will have a question and answer session now. Feel free to have any questions, to raise any questions. There is about 150 people in the room. Everyone, it's very clear. No questions at all. Yeah.
No,
just to share, Pak Budy, we had a discussion just last week on EV, the pro contra of tax subsidies, and people are here. Just for your information, we did a before and after. So, what position you are pro of the tax subsidies in electronic vehicles, if you know, or contra? And both times, so before and after the debate, the whole class, we call them society, supports a contra tax subsidies for, I don't know, maybe the class can say more about it, of ideas of, who's benefiting with this, the middle higher income. And I don't know, for myself, is the policy unable to imagine public transport and non-motorized, still imagining motorized economy in this climate. So maybe the class can talk more. But to Pak Budy, that is the barriers of environmental economic. It was designed not to see equity, but talk more on optimality and efficient. So yeah, how relevant is it today, considering this, social or maybe political now position of this future? That's one. I don't know if the class wants to follow. Another thing is we discussed this in class. Climate change is public goods. Remember, class? And we saw that, you can't do this without the whole world pitching in. And to your question, where does the capital come from? In Indonesia, it's visible that it all comes from extractive, like nickel, palm oil, udang, shrimp. So, but we don't see it as moving towards needed capital for us to, go beyond the debt valley curve. Yeah. But does the class have any question? I'm like, huh? Contra to EV? No, like they're shy. Oh, yeah? Oh. So are you answering or there's more questions?
Check, check. 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 Check, check. 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 Okay. So thank you so much for the presentation, and I do really appreciate that you mentioned about Berkeley Mafia. I also had the research about Berkeley Mafia, which is are they really causes the environmental problem? Which I found that it's not the what is my sentiment is that Berkeley Mafia has a lot of contribution to our development, even though, well, as we can see, China and India, they exploited so many resources, and it has like a bigger increase in CO2 per capita, which that is the opportunity cost for development itself. However, it seems like I just want to let it clear, not let it clear. I just want to take a clear understanding from your perspective whether does Berkeley Mafia has a lot of contribution to this inequality of carbon and also sustainable development stuff. I think that's my part.
Thank you. That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, I need to go. Ada echonya. So it's a very difficult question. Basically, whether all this environmental destruction is due to Berkeley Mafia, or it's actually due to the way that this extraction is actually happening is that Suharto uses granted the property right to logging and to mining to a lot of his colleagues, KKN. And so that colleague is actually not a competent business people that actually willing to look at all aspects of our business. And so it is creating this environmental problem. So those two are debatable, but the other aspect that we don't discuss is that during this development, corruption actually increase in such as that we don't manage our production rather well. So that component is actually true. But it's not like fully the Berkeley Mafia group are innocent. Yeah, it's not 100% fully, because intentionally is that we would need to exploit our natural resources for development. It is intention. Now, but the fact that some other group actually using it, it is true as well. Yeah? And this group, which is basically the military, using it, exploiting the policies for their benefit in such that actually sacrificing environment, it is true as well. Now, then the debate is that when in 1980s, at the end of 1980s, when we already look very careful that environmental problem is more evidence, deforestation is from already evidence. There always be a question by the NGO, why the Berkeley Mafia do not step down from the government. If they really disagree, and I did ask Pak Emil, and Pak Emil said that, look, we don't put a distance with the government because we still have a hope that we could influence the government to be more responsible, but turn out they are not successful. So I cannot 100% argue that the Berkeley Mafia is innocent in this, but I cannot also 100% accuse that this is all because of you, because there are other components that are happening, which is this pollution, KKN, and corruption that actually make use those strategies for their benefit and in a way destroying the environment. So that is probably the best that I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So
Ibu Uswah provided an incentive, for the question that is the best question. There is going to be a book, a sketchbook for you, just one. So Feel free. If nobody else asks a question, so you have competition.
There's someone over there, right? Mari, Evi. So Prof. Budy, first of all, forgive me for I think challenging you under very, very rudimentary concepts. But there is a concept that has been subject of much debate in economics that probably directly contradicts the triple bottom line concept, which I think is the Kuznets curve. Uh, Kuznets curve for inequality and the Kuznets curve for environmental damages. Basically, what it states is only after a certain level of economic growth or income per capita can we achieve the triple bottom line. So basically after the maximum point of the curve, mathematically. But it has been a subject of much debate. But as you've given it in your presentation, it seems like this probably is the case for Indonesia, especially after that we can see the evidence during the Suharto period. Much growth has been attributed to natural degradation, and then as natural degradation declines after SBA period, does the GDP growth in percentage terms also decline. So there is evidence that the Kuznets curve does apply, but maybe and then so I would like to have you explain about the relations of the Kuznets curve and the triple bottom line. And for the next subject is probably or maybe I'll have you explain on that first.
So remember that the Kuznets curve is not theorem; it is hypothesis, yeah? Meaning that more evidence needed. Then you could say that actually China is probably a good example. That even before they achieving OECD, they are able to deforest. The India is actually also like that. Reforest there. Yeah, India is currently actually forest in India is actually increased. So yes, probably need more statistics, but many agree that even Barbier I give you an example. For example, Japan, yeah, who actually by now has been able to nicely reforest. So 80% of forests in Japan look nice, but they are actually secondary forests. So a lot of biodiversity has gone, and it's not reversible. So the Japanese will obviously, it's better that actually we do it faster. Yeah. So whether there is a relation is in triple bottom line and Kuznets, environmental Kuznets curve, because we in sustainable development ignore those things. We don't believe on those things. Yeah. Starting at the beginning, we do implement. Don't wait. The cost is irreversible. Yeah, so that is my question, and that is also why it is very important to adopt sustainable development for developing and emerging countries. Yeah. So, and Indonesian government should do that. Next.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the explanation before. I quite want to ask about something that being my concern, because for background, I come from Sumatra, and then maybe people also know when you in a plant, and then you're going to see below, there's like a lot of palm oil tree, and I don't think it's only in Sumatra, but also across Indonesia's other island. So from that, I know that the palm oil sector actually, Indonesia has the largest palm oil sector, that we export a lot of palm oil, but at the same time, it also become a concern because it provides a lot of deforestation and carbon emissions and etc., which is not really good for our environment. And I also heard that when we plant too much, it's not really good for other plant as well. So my question is, how can the green economy help in the sector, especially because it's one of the big sector in Indonesia? Thank you.
So yeah, oil palm is one of the issue that we face economically. Almost no other plant that actually compete with power plant, oil palm in terms of return. Almost no other plantation that actually could compete the net benefit of oil palm. So that is one of the biggest problem. But we know that in the process of developing oil palm, there are issues. One is sometimes actually deforestation. Although they said that this is not a natural forest anymore, but still the way that they're clearing the land by burning the wood, so that already creates problem. And the plantation itself got an issue, like she mentioned. So yeah, so certainly there is some limit that we should actually impose in terms of managing oil palm. But so far, actually, I haven't seen any possible successful program for that. Because, for example, for land clearing, yeah, a lot of programs say that you shouldn't burn, but bring tractor. But bring tractor to Kalimantan is so expensive. So the cost suddenly like 10 times than the cost if you just clearing the land by burning. So one is that yeah, we need to have other sector to be developed. The one that actually compete is the modern sector. How actually Indonesia could develop a modern sector in Sumatra is important. How Indonesia could develop a modern sector in Kalimantan, Sulawesi is very important. A shortcut probably difficult. But one point that we keep discussing is allowing mobility Java outside Java. That could actually reduce. So the key point is that to reduce the problem of oil palm, there should be alternative livelihood that is competitive enough compared to oil palm. Unless Sumatra and Kalimantan could industrialize their area, it is almost always that we could not, because other plant is not as lucrative as oil palm at the moment. So it is a very difficult challenge. And so you see that the oil palm is actually growing up very fast. And the one that growing fast is not only the big company, but also people. Oil palm is increasing very fast. and people oil farm got more problem. It's not as productive as the big one. So you also clearing a big land. It's not productive, but it's still more beneficial than planting others. So there is double problem. So for Indonesia, yeah, but through lowering the cost of mobility, that probably the way to go. Yeah. So you are going to graduate it, go outside.
Good afternoon, Prof. So thank you for the opportunity. My name is Bernard. So I would like to ask regarding the case about downstreaming or maybe mining activities outside Java. Okay. So if we look at that case, if we look at the surface, yes, it may boost the regional economic growth at that region, like the gross domestic regional product. But if we deep dive into the case, like if I'm not mistaken, who actually benefit the most from that activities is the capital owners that outside from Java, and maybe also the workers also outside from Java. Like, and if we, on the other hand, if we look what the local communities get, they get just the broken environment, and also they get little economic benefit. And so my question is, how situation in terms of equity, because I think this, in the end of the day, it just will exacerbate the regional inequality, not reduce the regional inequality, interregional inequality. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, related to mining, yeah. Mining, whether you do a downstreaming process or not, is most likely creating problems. Yeah, in fact, most likely. So very difficult to actually do mining without environmental problem. Yeah. Particularly if it is like coal, mineral, in which the cheapest way to do mine is actually open pit. Yeah? Just take out the land on top and then take the mineral. And so there is a big messy and creating a lot of problems. So number one, yeah, implementation of a better technique on mining is probably needed. So that's number one. Yeah, it will be costly, but that really means that we need to be patient about that. Number two is the question whether mining is who is actually benefit mining. Before we talk about downstream industry, yeah, whether mining is actually could benefit local people or not. And most of the capital that could have get the right to mine, and they actually get it. But there's a bad thing happen, and actually could distribute the benefit to local, which is the illegal mining. So in all big mineral area, there are a lot of small mining, artisanal mining, conducted by illegal. They create a lot of environmental problem, but those people are local and get benefit. So in Sumatera, batu bara means barang Tuhan bagi rata. Yeah? So because people just take it, yeah. Now, but we don't want to do that. So that's the problem of mining. It's supposed to be a proper technology, not destroying environment so much. Government take it and return it back to the people. We already have this bagi hasil, but it's not working effective yet. Yeah, so this is supposed to be done now. So that is the issue. So my first point is that, you know, just talk about mining, it has already had a lot of environment issue, and just talk about mining, there has been an issue of equity. Yeah. But there is a way to solve it. Now, and explain my downstreaming industry. So the downstreaming industry, when it actually creates a problem, if there's two things happening. One, because you are a monopoly, yeah, because that mining can only sell the good to me as a smelter, in this case smelter or processing, then you do monopoly, which is basically you lower the price that these people could buy, and so they're not getting the benefit as much as possible comparing to if they export directly. So that is the first problem. The second problem, because the price is low, you are not efficient in using it. Price is low anywhere. I can compete, yeah, when I sell it because the price is low. Yeah, you're not doing it efficiency. Yeah, that's the third problem. Now the third problem, because you have a low price, you also not have an incentive to upgrade your technology. Yeah. So this is what happened when we ban export log and develop the plywood factory. Our plywood factory is do as a monopoly, and so the benefit to the people getting lower. Second, they're not efficient. Third is they're not upgrading the technology. In such, when China find a new source of wood from Russia, they destroy our plywood company. Now, so, okay, we would like to do downstreaming industry for a higher value, but could you ensure those three aspects happening? One, yeah, I mentioned repeatedly, no, there's no monopoly happening. You know, in nickel, all these miners, they can only sell to these several companies, and the several companies doing monopoly. And they're not efficient. And finally, whether they actually will be have an incentive. If they could do 3S2 it is okay. It's becoming a competitive downstreaming industry, which is you could do it. Yeah. But data show when you do protection, people do not have incentive to actually become competitive. Yeah. All right. Okay. Don't worry. Yeah. So because I have a lunch meeting. Yeah.
My name is Muhammad Haidar Varian, and I watch several videos about EV cars, and I curious about the green transition. Does the environmental benefit of running electric vehicle outweigh the environmental costs associated with their entire supply chain, particularly the mining of rare earth materials for the battery and industrial process itself to make life cycle assessment? Is the overall shift from conventional car to the EVs is a net positive change for sustainability? That's it. Thank you.
So yes, there is an issue about EV in terms of equity and so on. Yeah, that's need to be very careful. So when you do an EV, make sure it is also happening to all sector. And all society could actually adapt it. Yeah, and this is the same issue with the mobile phone. mobile phone before 10 years ago, we said that mobile phone is basically connect and divide Indonesia. You know, it's actually making some group of people closer, but actually the other who do not get mobile phone is becoming farther. So those kind of issue is true with it. But one thing that we need to be careful and understand on this EV stuff is the number one, that this energy development, yeah, mostly will be, if we would like to have the net zero emission globally, will be mostly come from renewable, yeah, will be mostly all electricity in the world should come from renewable. And if you ask me whether it's possible, yes, it is possible, yeah. So if so there we will do any transport of energy anymore when the source of electricity is renewable. Why? Because to make it happen, the source of electricity globally renewable, you will need to have grid. Grid is connection, high voltage connection across globally. And sending electricity is cheap comparing when that's happened. Sending electricity is cheap comparing to sending any other source of energy. It will be cheaper. You send a coal from one place to another, it's much easier to send, much cheaper to send electricity from one place to other if this connection grid is happening. With the assumption that we are able to actually make the global need of electricity is through renewable, yeah, which is possible, yeah, which is possible. So yeah, come to my presentation whether Indonesia will be able to navigate. Now, so if this is happening, then it is inevitable that all transportation and appliance will have to be electricity. It has to be electricity. So if you ask whether there will be a problem of mineral, at the moment we will say yes, but human is always be creative in such as if that is the only way we survive, we will find way to resolve it. So the Japanese already think about hydrogen. When you use to store the energy with hydrogen, you do not need battery. But technology hydrogen is still far high. So this is the same as when the population keep increase, will be get hungry because the land is actually limited. No, humans are more very productive in such that productivity of agriculture keep increasing. And the same thing of this, yeah, where if we move to this renewable and in such that all appliance and all transportation will have to be electricity, will we actually do not have material to make it happen? I'm quite sure that we will find ways to resolve it. Human is like that. It's always fine. So that is innovation. So you guys need to think about that. So yeah. Okay. So that is my answer and I need to go.
Okay, thank you very much, and maybe another big applause as appreciation. And before you go, Pak Budy, we have a souvenir that Ibu Uswa will present to Pak Budy, souvenir from the Faculty of Economics. So for the quiz, 30 minutes time. So you have your notes. You can put aside your laptops and your uh, your phones, and just have your cheat sheet and your blank paper. And the question will be up there, but for the time being, the question is, one, elaborate your perspective regarding externalities in developed countries versus developing countries. Do you find a paradox in the presentation? Are they similar stories or different? Give an example. The second question, name mitigation strategies to climate change in Indonesia and discuss. So, yeah. So it's going to be up there, but I'll reread it. Elaborate your perspective regarding externalities in developed countries versus developing countries. Do you find a paradox? Are they similar stories or different? Give an example. And the second question is, name mitigation strategies to climate change in Indonesia and discuss. This quiz is untuk kelasnya Esdal, untuk kelasnya Ibu Milda, kelas ekonomi pembangunan ya. Boleh duluan kalau perlu, atau kelas lain. Forgot to mention that you should be closing your laptop, right? Not doing your Googling or asking ChatGPT to answer the question. Please close all laptops and tablets and gadgets, other gadgets. Thank you.